Dr. Leaf, you just said that the brain is different from the mind. What does that mean?
What the truth is, Mel, is that your brain and your body are the physical part of you. This brain does absolutely nothing except what you tell it to do with your mind.
Okay, now hold on. You're basically saying that on its own, that blob right there that we call the brain, the physical structure does absolutely nothing on its own.
On its own.
Okay.
Nothing on its own.
So then what is the mind?
So the mind is the energy force that actually drives the brain and makes it work, which is enabling us to have a conversation and part of memory and remembering what we're saying and so on, because your mind is doing the work. So the easiest way to understand this is that if you die, within seconds of your heart stopping, under 20 seconds, your brain basically, that's it, and your body disintegrate. So the brain and the body disintegrate. What's the difference between a dead person and an alive person? It's actually your mind. So mind is a big word, and it represents your spirit, your soul, whatever word you want to use. It's your ability to perceive what I'm saying, to think and feel and choose about that, to love, to have relationships, to the way you see the world, the way you learn knowledge, the way you perceive every moment of every day. That's mind. That mind drives your physiology. So the mind makes the brain work. It makes the genetics and the neurohormones and the neurochemistry. It makes the heartbeat. If you didn't have a mind, your heart couldn't beat. It's your mind that's making your heart beat, that's making your lungs work, that's making you breathe. So it handles your mental aspects, your psychological aspects, it handles your neuro aspects, and it handles your biological. So psycho, neuro, biological. And the interesting thing, Mel, is that the mind is 99% of who you are. It's fundamental. It's the prism through which life is processed. The brain is just a host. So the mind is taking this conversation and putting a copy of it into the brain, and that then activates the brain to respond chemically and electromagnetically and genetically, and then it wires this conversation. As we're talking, it's wiring it into the brain. But the mind's doing the work. It's a field of energy. It's exactly the same energy that runs your cell phone.
Huh.
The thing that makes your cell phone and all anything work, that's the lights, the studio lights, etc., everything that works, it's electromagnetics. So, but each of us has our own unique electromagnetic field. So you have yours, I have mine, we all have our own unique ones. So your mind is that thing on a physics level. I know it sounds hard, that's why I say think of a cell phone.
So I'm completely understand what you're saying, that the brain is the physical thing.
Yeah.
The mind is the energy force.
Yes.
And the programming. And so if you take the example of the cell phone, if the cell phone isn't charged, it's dead.
Exactly.
Same thing with a human being. And what charges you is the energy of your mind.
Exactly.
And if a cell phone actually was stripped, right, of like when you go to reset to factory settings or whatever, you wipe it clear of everything, it doesn't work.
Exactly.
And so you have to both have the energy to power it, and you also have to have the programming and the language and all of that that tells it what to do. Otherwise, the thing is dead and useless. And you're saying the same thing about the brain and the mind.
This is useless until you, with your mind, create the program, put the programs in, power it up, charge it, use it. And even when the cell phone dies, it doesn't mean that the mind has died. The mind still goes on. It never stops. That's the thing. The mind just carries on.
Wait, what?
Never stops. You are always you. You carry on. If you think of the mind, it's driving all your psychological stuff and all your physiological stuff. So when you have for example, we use EEGs and QEEGs in our neuroscience research, which looks at the energy waves in the brain, looks how the brain is responding. That's what we're looking at, is the mind in the brain. When you have an EKG, they look at your heart. That's the mind in your heart. The fact that your blood is pumping, it's a whole different conception.
I've never thought about it that way before. Whenever somebody says the word mind, I think about what's in between my ears.
Exactly.
But you're basically saying if you wiggle your toes, what's making your toes wiggle is your mind.
Yeah.
Which means your minds are in your toes and your fingertips. And
everywhere
if you feel like a shock, even when you touch a sweater that's kind of like fuzzy and you get that little, that's your mind helping you experience that.
You got it.
That's crazy. I've never heard anybody explain it like that. And I've been I just think I got it for the first time.
I love it.
So I got the difference between the physical versus the energy that powers it, but I've never actually extended that insight of the energy and the programming that is your mind
Yeah.
The life force that drives you is in your entire body. That is crazy.